So moving on to the topic of today, which is cavernomas. They were actually considered a rare tumor till the advent of CTs in the 1970s. People actually diagnosed most of them post-mortem. So the asymptomatic ones which have not ruptured are also probably discovered post-mortem. And incidentally, this series found the incidence of cavernomas in the brain to be 0.3 to 0.5%. McCormick in 1984, who studied around 5,000 patients, reported a rate of 0.33%, and he had discovered 19 lesions in nearly 5,700 patients. So incidentally, it's very accurate, and the same percentage or the same incidence has been reported in MRI studies for several reasons. So MRI of the brain and spine of the neuroaxis, when it's done, when they analyzed it for the incidence of cavernomas, it was 0.4%. So the postmortem studies were pretty accurate. The subsequent series which are pointed here are all probably MRI studies, especially the ones done in 2000s, and these studies report an incidence of 0.4%. So that's the incidence of cavernomas. So natural history studies help to give us the first information, which is the incidence of the disease. So you have diagnosed a cavernoма. So what happens to these cavernomas is the next question, and where are they usually located? So the cavernomas are usually 80% are supratentorial, and by supratentorial I mean mainly the cortical ones, which are located usually, many of them are located in the periphery. Frontal lobe, which is the largest lobe of the brain, usually contain these cavernomas. They may be in the temporal lobes too. Parieto-occipital lesions are also defined. So the largest lobe, frontal lobe, carries the maximum number of cavernomas too in this supratentorial group. 15% can be in the brainstem and basal ganglia. Even though basal ganglia are supratentorial, they are classified separately because the natural history of basal ganglia cavernomas are slightly different, and the way they present are also slightly different as compared to the supratentorial ones. 5% are spinal cord cavernomas. So 40 to 50% may have coexistent lesions in the neuroaxis, especially the spinal cord ones. Once you have diagnosed them in the spinal cord, it's important and it's prudent to scan the entire neuroaxis and look for other cavernomas. Many times you may not find them on T2. You will find a lot of these cavernomas on blooming. There will be multiple dots on the supratentorial surface on blooming. They will be nicely seen on the SWI images. So 40 to 50% may have coexistent lesions in the neuroaxis. These are congenital lesions. Most studies have proven that they definitely have a congenital origin. May not be the same size at birth. They generally grow over time. So as they keep growing, you tend to identify them on the imaging, and as they keep growing, they do become symptomatic, and by the time they are symptomatic, usually the second or third decade. So again, one more information we get from the natural history series is when they become symptomatic. Most commonly, they become symptomatic in the second or third decade. So one more information is demographics. So in the natural history, we see demographics is that they usually have an equal male to female preponderance. There are some studies which have indicated that there may be a female preponderance, but a recent meta-analysis by Zabramsky et al. Has shown that the female to male ratio is nearly 1:1 when you consider all lesions, symptomatic and asymptomatic. 20 to 30% of cavernomas are usually incidentally detected. Usually headaches are the most common cause. Usually migraine is the reason. They get imaged for the same, and an MRI brain reveals an incidentally detected lesion, which can be a cavernoma. And the asymptomatic rates are slightly higher in the familial groups, maybe because the screening is more. So 40% are asymptomatic in the familial forms.